programmers, today I want to show you a game in SpriteKit where you can click on coins and increase the number of coins you're collecting, just as a sample of showing how you would create labels and sprites and some very basic animation. We're going to be doing this in Xcode, and this kind of a app could run on an iPhone or a tablet that's an Apple device, but it wouldn't run on an Android. So I'm going to create a brand new Xcode project. I'm going to choose Game from the iOS side and then give it a name of Coin Catcher, or something like that. The language I'm going to be writing this in is Swift, and I'm going to use SpriteKit. Just decide where on your computer you want to save the project, and it starts out and it actually gives you a little bit of code and a scene to work with. Let's jump over and look at this game scene, and you're going to see that it gives you a Hello World SpriteKit scene, and you can select from a pull-down menu of devices. If I pick like iPhone 8, I could see, well, what does this look like, this Hello World on an iPhone 8? And we could run this, and it's kind of cool what they give you. Actually, it's more than just Hello World. They actually have some code in there that will respond to the user clicking on the scene. There we see Hello World, and I don't know if you noticed, but it kind of faded in. We can look at the code that does that. If you tap, it'll make this rotating square, and if you tap and drag, you get a different color, and it's drawing a bunch of different like circular squares. We can hit stop when we're done looking at that. So if you wanted to change the label, which is probably the first thing that I'm going to do, this has a name of Hello Label, and it displays the text Hello World. For my little game, I'm going to change this to say coins collected and start out with the number 0. And this ends up being a bit too big, so I'm going to change the font size. And I'm not crazy about it being light. It's kind of hard to see what's going on there. So I not only want to change the font size, but the how bold it is. So I'm going to change it to maybe bold, or at least regular, at least not light. And then I want something that's a small enough font that the whole thing fits on the screen. Good enough. If you wanted to change the color of this, you can choose a different color, a different custom color, and use this little color wheel to say, well, what color do we want there? Maybe a dark green or a light green. Something like this. This is opacity. I'm happy with that. And then you can drag this into a position on the phone, and the yellow lines are going to help you center it up. So I want this centered at the top of the screen. And then with the scene selected, I want to try clicking on these other options over here, especially this one right here, where it says that there's a custom class that goes along with this scene, and it's called Game Scene. So you might notice that there's two things over here that are called Game Scene. One is the user interface, and that's where we were customizing what the label was going to say, and the other has a .swift extension. It's the actual code that was generated automatically for you. So that label that had Hello Label as the name of it, I'll go back there and show you. So Hello Label was the name. The way the code accesses that to change that, or make it come into focus, is by grabbing something with the name Hello Label. So that's how that's used, and it changes the alpha, so it starts out as not visible, an alpha of 0, and then it runs an action to fade that in over the course of 2 seconds. You could change this to 10 seconds if you wanted to. Then if you're curious about the rest of the code, it's down here. I'm going to end up kind of gutting this and leaving the did move. I'm going to get rid of that. I don't care whether they're touching down or moving or touching up, but I will leave one function having to do with touches, but I'm going to get rid of everything inside of it. Move all those, and I'll leave update. So here's what I've got left. And then I'm going to add some more variables. So I'm going to have a private variable for the number of coins, and this is like on the screen because I don't want to get to the point where I've got hundreds and hundreds, only they've all fallen off the screen. I also want the number of coins that you've collected. So collected coins, start that at 0. And I also am going to need to animate the coin dropping. I'm going to have an array of SK texture objects. Oops, it's trying to autocomplete, and it sometimes helps and sometimes doesn't help. To make an array, you have square brackets, and to have square brackets with nothing in it says I'm starting with an empty array. I forgot the var part at the beginning. So it'll be variable because it starts out empty, and I'm going to end up adding to it over time. So what else could we do? Well, let me find the pictures that I want to include of the coins rotating. We'll end up dragging them into the scene under assets. Right now the assets is empty. You can look under app icon and they tell you, well, if you want this to be an app that's released or displayed on phones, you could drag in app icons of the appropriate sizes to make this visible, but I'm going to drag some images below the app icon and some new images. So to find some art, I'm going to go to a website, OpenGameArt. All right, so I went to this cool website, opengameart.org, and it has a lot of sound and images for animation and backgrounds, and I just put in the search bar gold coin, and I came up with this gold coin zip that somebody drew in Photoshop and kindly donated it to this site, so people wanting free artwork for their games can download it and use it. So thank you. We are going to go ahead, and so I downloaded the zip and I expanded it, and I see it has 9 different pictures of gold coins. So I'm going to select all of those and drag them into my project. And voila, take a note of the name of all those. It's gold coin followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to use that in our code right now. So every time this scene opens for the first time, or you're switching scenes and you come back to it, didMove function is going to go ahead and run. So once you open the scene, you run this function, so it will be run once at the beginning. So this would be a perfect place to pull in those images that I want to use of the coin rotating, and there were 9 of them, so I'm going to have a loop that goes from 1 to 9, and my textures array, I want to go ahead and append the image named. And there's 9 different image names, but I know they all start with gold coin, and then they all end with a number. So it's going to append 1 the first time through the loop, 2, 3, 4. So we'll pull in all 9 of those images. All right, we're going to go ahead and go back to the user interface, the game scene, and I want to show you how you would add a gold coin. So one way would be to drag things in. There's a plus sign in the upper right hand corner, and if you select, you could either select a sprite and then choose the texture as whatever gold coin you want to display. It's a very tiny little gold coin. You may want to change the size of that. I'm going to make it much bigger and easier to see. So that's one way. With the plus sign, you could also select all the artwork and then drag your coin in that way. And I'm going to actually end up adding coins a different way. I'm going to add coins by adding code that adds the coins. But I first want to show you how you can adjust things like the size, or you can drag them in a different position. And I also want to point out the physics definition, which starts out as none, can be changed to a bounding rectangle, circle, or alpha mask to exactly match this. I'm going to just use a bounding circle close enough for this kind of game. And if I give physics to this object, so yeah, so we can see it's circling in a bounding circle. Then we can also decide, is this affected by gravity? Could it bounce off other objects? Do we allow rotation? I'm going to make sure affected by gravity is checked and hit run and see what happens. And I don't know if it happened too fast, but notice that that one coin fell down to the bottom. And this coins collected started out as not visible, and within 10 seconds it became visible. In the bottom right-hand side where it said nodes 4, there were 2 coins, there's a label and there's a background, so there's 4 things being drawn on the screen. We can get rid of this later if we want. And frames per second, how quickly is it refreshing things on the screen. So instead of generating coins by dragging them in, I want my game to end up dropping coins down. So I'm going to make a brand new function, and the function is going to be called drop coin. All right, so what does it take to drop a coin? I'm going to create a variable coin, SKSpriteNode, and an image named, and we'll just pick the first of those images, gold coin 1, and it'll end up rotating through all the images, so it doesn't really matter which one we pick. So where should I put it on the screen? I want to randomly select where I'm going to put this on the screen, and I want to randomly select between, I'm going to have to go double check this, but let's say -400 to +400, and then I'm going to go back and look and see, well, does that really make sense? Kind of, yeah. So if we look up here, the far left corner, it is somewhere in between these two numbers. So -400 sounds good, +400 sounds good, and on the y-axis we want to be, if we're dropping it from the top down, somewhere bigger than 640, and we can go as small as maybe, I don't know, 650. It depends on your device size, -650. So that tells me a little bit. I want to drop them all from the top. So what happens if, let's just pick a random integer between -800 to -650. Oh, sorry, the top was positive, not negative. So let me switch this. Positive numbers. Okay, so I want to drop all the coins from the top, and then gravity can pull them down to the bottom. I've got too many dots. So the ... means you're going from a small range to a big range. Here I'm just saying, I could do ... or I could say, I don't want it to be 800, but it could be 799 or something like that. So either way there. And these warnings will go away when I finish typing the code. It's just saying that we haven't actually used any of these variables we created. We'll be using them next. So I'm going to randomly decide where I want to position that coin, and then the position that I'm going to put that in is my random X position and my random Y position. Okay, so far so good. And then I did say the coin is a little small, so I want to change this to a bigger size, just for those of you like me that your vision isn't perfect. I'm just starting to need glasses, so let's just make these ridiculously huge for now. We can always change the size later. And then I want to give the coin a name so that we can access later in the code and know whether or not the user clicked on it. So it's going to be called coin, and then I want to give it a physics body. So I want it to be able to drop from the sky, respond to gravity. So I want to initialize the physics body, and I'm going to do, there were a couple different functions you could do to initialize. I'm going to pick the one with a circle radius of, and then I'll just do half of what I said the width and the height was. Okay, so it now has a physics body. I'm going to go ahead and add this coin to the scene every time someone calls drop coin. Okay, this should, when I run it, we should see one coin drop down. What would happen if in the update function, I said, go ahead and drop a coin? This may be chaos. All right, so we hit run and we wait to see what happens, and it is a massive number of coins. And look in the bottom right, the number of nodes that the screen has to render is going up to 400, 500, 600. We're gonna hit stop. Okay, the performance of your app is not gonna do very well if you have, you keep growing the number of coins and you never remove any. So we're going to have to do something about this, and dropping an unlimited number of coins is not going to be the way to go. So the first step is I want to make sure that the number of coins we're dropping is less than X number of coins, whatever you decide is reasonable. I'm going to start with 20 and then we can adjust. So remember, every time you add a coin, you would want to update this number of coins. I'm going to do it here in the drop coins. So we'll say number of coins is going to go up by 1 here, but then we have to make sure that every time you remove a coin from the scene, it's going to be, the number of coins is going to go down. So first, when somebody touches a coin, we wanted to give them a point for that. So I'm going to put a debugging statement to let us know that we are in the touches begin function. After that, I'm going to do a few lines of code to basically get the name of what it is that we're touching. So it's possible that you could use more than one hand, more than one finger, and be touching multiple spots on the screen. So there might be more than one touches object. And I just want to look at the first one and assume that's the one that we want to look at. And then the location for that touch. Let's see, location in self. So within that screen, what's the location where you're touching? And then you could be touching more than one node. You could have layers like a label with multiple coins and a background and maybe a character. So I want to look at the nodes that you're touching. And then we'll, again, just to simplify it, instead of going through the array of everything you're looking at, I'm just going to look at the first one. And then let's see the name of what you tapped on. I wonder what it's complaining about. Let me pause and take a look at that. I think I just forgot to put a period there. Okay, so what is the name of what you're touching? And for instance, when we generated the coin in our code, we put in a name of coin. I don't need these 2 coins, so I can delete them because my code's going to be generating enough coins for me. All right, so let's see, still complaining? Okay, we fixed that error. Now we want to see if the name of what they tapped was coin. If it was, we can increase the number of coins. That variable, we can add 1 plus equals 1, and then we can remove that coin from the game. So we'll remove it from the parent. We can also increase the number of coins that we collected. Oh, sorry. So increase the number of coins we've collected, but because we removed it from the game, I want to actually decrease it by 1 for a number of coins, not increase by 1. All right, so this is like you have 1 additional coin and you will be removing this from the game. That 1 coin. So the line below removes it from the game. All right, so now we can update the label. I need to do a dot text. And the label can now say coins collected, and we can put in that variable collected coins. Is that what I called it? Yeah. All right, let's try this, and we will still have some issues that the coin animation's not working yet. We've got our 20 coins and they all fell so fast I didn't click on any. We can see that they are not removed from the screen because the nodes still are 22 and I can't click on any. I'm going to try one more time just to see if I can click on them. I'm going to have to be fast, and then I really need to fix the code. I still didn't click on any. So to make them fall slower, I could change gravity for this game. And I'm going to do that because I am not good enough to click on anything. So let's make the gravity a little bit smaller. That's going to be a vector. And I'm going to say there's no gravity in the X direction. There's no wind blowing things side to side. And in the Y direction, things are going down, but they're going down pretty slowly so that I can actually have a chance to click on one of these coins. And then now that's a little too slow. I could actually get a lot of them. And my coins collected is going up. I'm actually having fun already, but we still need to do something about when the coins go off the screen. They need to be deleted, and we want them to rotate. So let's go into the drop coin function. We've added the coin to the scene, but I want to do something else to the scene before I add it. I want to add in that animation. So I'm going to do coin animation, a new variable, and it's going to be an SK action, a SpriteKit action, and the action's going to be an animate with, and so the first one option they're showing me with the textures, that is when we pulled in all the images of the coin at the beginning, and this is how much time do we want to see each picture before we move on to the next picture. So how fast you want the coin to be rotating. I'll just try 0.1 and see how that looks. And then I want this to repeat. There are 9 different images of the coin, but we may go through all 9 of them and still not be at the bottom of the screen. So let's try to repeat the coin animation maybe 4 times. I'm just guessing. We'll see if it stops rotating, then we'll change that. Then I also want to remove the coin from the game after it's done flipping around, going through all the animation 4 times. So at some point, we can't just have this coin in the game forever, even though it's gone off the bottom of the screen. So we'll call remove from parent as an action. I need to update the number of coins in the game because I have my program only adding coins if you are less than 20 coins on the screen. So I want to update the number of coins after we're removing them from the parent. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different actions. But one of the actions is just repeating the coin animation. So I've got a sequence or an array of 3 actions I want to keep running every time I have a new coin. And the order of the sequence is we want to do that coin animation repeat, followed by we can then remove from the parent when it's done with all its animation, and then update the number of coins in the game. So that sequence, I need to apply that to the coin. So I need to say, coin, go ahead and run this sequence of different events. And let's go ahead and try that and see what happens. Fingers crossed. Uh-oh, what did I do? My coin images, it's having trouble with the with the images. So let me take a look. When I was trying to pull in, I had gold coin singular, and if I look, it is gold coin singular and then the number. So why can't it find those? Oh, and I had typed in right before gold coin, I had typed in the slashes that I needed when I was pulling in the label from the scene, but that's not part of the image name. I don't need that here. So I'm going to try running again, and hopefully my coins will start rotating and I'll be able to click on them. And I think I could probably even increase this speed. And I want them to fall a little bit farther before they disappear, so let's make a few changes. So instead of stopping after they've done their sequence of rotations 4 times, I want it to go twice as far. Gravity could be a little bit faster, I think. Let's make it more challenging. let's see, was there anything else? I'll try running this again. They still could go faster, I think. I'm not going to be able to get all 20 of them, but this is pretty good. I think we're at a good stopping point for this game. If you don't want it to say nodes frames per second, and notice how it's never getting too much higher than 22 because we've got 20 coins, we've got the label, we got some background. That's good. That's good that we're not having coins that are just sitting there, hundreds of coins at the bottom of the screen. But if you don't want to see this in the bottom right-hand corner, you can go over to the game view controller and show the frames per second. We could comment that out and show the node count. We could comment that out as well and go ahead and run this. And I think my video is long enough, so I'm going to stop there. But hopefully you had fun playing with SpriteKit and making a little game. And if people like this, I could create more SpriteKit games and put them on YouTube. Happy programming!